What is up, everyone? Welcome back to our channel and welcome to our first episode of Black Ops 6. Now, of course, this is a new series, guys, so I hope you have enjoyed the game so far. Definitely loads of things to talk about, but I will be keeping those ones for my future review videos. But for the time being, I thought to give you guys a video about how to crack the safe in the safe house, which I think is a really cool Easter egg. And I have to say, during Black Ops 6, the campaign at least, there had been so many Easter eggs and so many things to discover and do in the game. So I thought it's a brilliant collective effort from the developers. And with that being said, let's just jump straight into what you guys have to do. So as you can see, the first thing you need to go and unlock or to do is the puzzle underneath the safe house, and that's for particularly the tanks. You want to go into the room, turn off the water supply fully, then just turn to middle the gas supply, return on the water supply, and then return fully on the gas supply. So that will allow you to have the boiler to stay on green, and once that happens, this allows you to go and do the next part of the Easter egg. Now, of course, when the light turns green, that means that the whole boiler in the house works normally. So that allows you to now open the secret door next to the piano. Now, if you use your UV light, you'll be able to see some markings on the wall. One of the things that I've made as a mistake was to think that each number next to the Cyrillic letter would mean the number of times you have to press that particular Cyrillic letter. No, that was just the order. So, it took me a while to actually get this right. So if you guys end up watching my full game walkthrough, you would see that at one point I spent quite a bit of time trying to get this thing to work. But once you do it in the order presented on the walls, you'll be able to access the bunker downstairs. Now, don't forget, this is a really cool Easter egg because it's all based on a Russian bunker that was in a huge mansion somewhere in Bulgaria. So this is a really nice touch from the developer and kind of bringing back some Soviet era memories. So with that being opened, once you access the bunker underneath, you'll be able to see a couple of rooms, but just follow the obvious one and you'd come across 2 points that will present some interest. So this is just a note that it's quite cool to read, but then also afterwards you'll be able to do another lock picking game. Now, a tip from my end with this, again, it took me a while during the game to find this out, but when you kind of move around your UV light, you'll be able to see that some of the numbers will have a more prominent kind of light, which means that probably was pressed multiple times. So try to kind of replicate that and add that number a couple of times, because that will probably be the answer to your code. And obviously faded numbers or faded markings are probably things that had been deleted afterwards, because if you do move your UV light towards the backspace arrow on the keypad, you probably will see that that's being marked too. So again, a cool Easter egg is not the most difficult to kind of crack, but it does take some time. And I have to say that during the campaign, once you get the hang of these codes and how they work, they will become a lot easier, and you would also spend less time on doing them. But I guess just to cover this particular point, as you guys can see, if you get the numbers right, you have a green tick underneath, and if you do not get the position of the number, you'd get a yellow kind of number with an arrow left or right, meaning that you just have to reposition that number left or right until it's right. Also, the red means that the number is non-existent in the code. So it's again a really straightforward kind of Easter egg and puzzle, but it did reminded me a lot of BioShock, and I did hear a lot of people saying this, and it was a really good comparison. So I'm not sure if the guys have inspired themselves from this, but it was a really cool and unique way of putting the transparency between the two games. Right, so once you unlock the room, you'll be able to find a file here, which again I was just reading because it just adds some context to the story. And then just behind these old recording tapes, you'll be able to find a computer. Now, again, you have to crack the code. And another thing that it took me a couple of tries to realize is that in order to get the code, you just have to follow the top numbers with the numbers underneath. So for example, in our case, you've got 7, and 7 means it's letter H. So this is what correlates with the correct codes, and you'll be able to get the code for the particular crack straight away. Right, so with the code cracked, we are able to now move on to the next part of this Easter egg, and this requires to go back onto the hallway where you have entered, and instead of turning right here, we have to turn right again and just go basically forward to the corridor. Now, on the left hand side, you'll find the room with a red light and a note which suggests that this was interrogation room where probably someone got tortured because they were trying to get a key out of that person. So we're trying to lockpick this particular door, and once we are lockpicking ourselves in, you'll be able to find the key that allows you to move on to the secret room. Right, so once we are inside the room, the key is on the table. I'm not sure if this gets randomized or if it's always the same, but in my case, this was on the table. So we picked up the key. I had another quick look around to see if we had any other secrets here. And once we have gotten the key, we are going back on the hallway, and basically go back towards the entrance. Now at this crossing section we turn right again, and this is where it's going to take us to the locked room. Now for the locked room, this is where you're going to see a signal area as well, meaning that you have one of those radio things that you have to get the codes from. Now this is a bit more complex, and as you guys can see, this was probably a panic room or a room that would replicate something out of Nuketown. So in order to get this right, you have to turn on your UV light, and this is something that unfortunately is really randomized, so you have to pay attention and get the code right. So once the radio plays, you'll be able to get a series of numbers and words. Those words correlate to certain images or items in that room, and once you get the numbers from those particular items, make sure to write them down, and that's the code of your safe. So in my case, we had to look a bit around because this was something to do with the rocket launch, the video player, the radio player, etc. So as I have seen, not for everyone is the same, and it's depending on what's on the radio and what's relevant to your room.
A record played the sounds of a rocket launch. I was disappointed, wanting to see it on film instead. When you're older, my sister said, as she used the iron to press her father's work clothes. A record played the sounds of a rocket launch. I was disappointed, wanting to see it on film instead. When you're older, my sister said, as she used the iron to press her father's work clothes. A record played the sounds of a rocket launch. I was disappointed, wanting to see it on film instead. When you're older, my sister said, as she used the iron to press her father's work clothes. A record played the sounds of a rocket launch. I was disappointed, wanting to see it on film instead. When you're older, my sister said, as she used the iron to press her father's work clothes. A record played the sounds of a rocket launch. I was disappointed, wanting to see it on film instead. When you're older, my sister said, as she used the iron to press her father's work clothes.
Okay, so once we are confident with our code, we are going back up where the meeting room is. We pass the meeting room, and just afterwards, on the left hand side, we have the staircase. Go up the stairs, go left again, and the left door is the door where you have your safe. We're gonna input the code. In my case, the code was 5024, and that's your reward. It's also an objective, and you also get a nice melee skin, which, you know, it's a nice touch for this Easter egg. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. As I said, it was something that was nicely added to the game. It was a really nice touch alongside the entire game, I have to say. And it's just something that allows you to upgrade certain items and buy some items for future. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next video soon.